All right, good afternoon to everyone. We shall make a start. Are you guys seeing my screen now?
Yes, sir.
All right, great. So last week we already started the January 2024 paper 2. We covered questions 1 and 2. The video is in the WhatsApp group. So we're going to continue from question 3 and 4 and wrap up there for today. So the following is a list of specifications for a laptop that was bought by Jane. So have a look at all the specifications. Um, what I want us to do is I want you guys to tell me how you would read, how you would say each one of these lines. So I want to be clear as to what you know about it. So the first one, how would you guys say this here? How would you read that? Let's read it out. The first one.
Sir, Intel Core i15 2.9 gigahertz.
I-15, I-5, right?
Yeah, i5, sorry.
Yeah, so Intel Core i5 2.9 gigahertz. So that's the first thing I want you to take note of. The G stands for giga. Well, that's basically the unit of measurement. So you guys should know about K. What's K stand for?
Sir, I was going to say kilo.
Kilo is correct. Kilo. M was M.
Mega.
Mega. Then we have G giga, and then we have T tera. So kilo is how much?
10 to the third power, I believe. Is
Which
it a
is
positive 3?
which
And
is
that would be, 1,000.
1,000. That's what we're looking for. So kilo is 1,000. How much is a mega?
Sir, 10,000.
Nope. It goes up by three.
Oh.
So this is
3
gonna
million.
be 1 million. This is gonna be 1 billion. This is gonna be 1 trillion, if I'm correct, in terms of size. So basically, the units go up by three because it's the power to three. As you would have said, kilo is 10 to the third power, mega is 10 to the 6, giga is 10 to the 9, tera is 10 to the 12. So 1,000, a million, a billion, a trillion. Now, so instead of saying 1 billion hertz or 1 billion bytes, we simply say a gigabyte, a gigahertz. Basically, we use the unit of measurement for that. Good. So remember 2.9, what is that for the CPU? What is that measurement for the CPU?
The processor speed.
Right, the processor speed. So whenever you see gigahertz, it's more than likely the speed of the CPU. Good. Number two. Number two.
14-inch touchscreen.
Good. So remember the double quotation marks is a representation of inches. 14-inch touchscreen. So what is this here?
So, are you talking about the uplifted commas?
Yeah, quotation mark, double uplifted commas. Yeah, that's the size representation of inch. So that's the display of the computer, right? All right, number 3. So, well, this is going to be simple. 8 gigabyte DDR4. So, what part of the computer is this? What hardware is this? Number 3. What is number 3? Eight gigabyte DDR4. What is that? So this is the CPU. This is the display or the monitor. What's number 3?
Sir, would it be RAM?
RAM. That's correct. So anytime you see a storage size of 2 gigabyte, 4 gigabyte, 8, 12, 24, something around that range, and you see DDR, anything alongside DDR, that is the RAM. DDR is a type of RAM. There's DDR4, there's 3, there's 2, there's 5. The current generation is 5. Number 4, 512 gigabyte SSD. What is this here? Come on, you're supposed to be quicker than that.
Secondary storage?
Secondary storage, which is basically your hard drive. But in this case, what does SSD stand for?
Solid state drive?
Very good. So this is your hard drive, basically. We still sometimes call solid state drive hard drive. So that's your secondary storage, basically. So remember, RAM is your primary, that is secondary. Good. Number 5. What is the HDMI port used for? What is your HDMI port used for?
Sir, it's used to make display connections.
Right. So a display output or input, but basically used for display. Good. Ethernet port. What is it used for? Ethernet port.
Sir, it's connector network, like you know those
That's
yellow
it. That's
cards
it.
that, yeah, the yellow card that get from the modem.
Yep. That's it. So it's a port that allows you to connect to a network. Good. Well, we know what is USB. Those USB ports. What does USB stand for? Abbreviation of USB.
Universal serial bus?
Very good. Universal serial bus. HDMI. Anybody know that one? HDMI.
High definition multimedia interface?
Very good. That is correct. High definition multimedia interface. Good. Number 6. Well, this is straightforward. Your Intel Wi-Fi card. This is your network adapter, which will allow you to connect to the Wi-Fi network. Number 7, that's your webcam. 8, what is 8? 8 is a software. 9 is another software. 10, another software. 11, another software. Good. Identify each of the following in the laptop specification. What is your secondary storage? What is your secondary storage?
512 gigabytes SSD.
Very good. 512 gigabyte SSD. Good. What is your processor speed? Processor speed.
Sir,
Yes, Africo?
sir, would that be the Intel Core i5 2.9 gigahertz?
All right, but not everything there is asking only for the processor speeds. It's only going to
Only
be 2.9 gigahertz. Only the speed it's asking for. What is a web browser?
Google Chrome.
Google Chrome, that is correct. Google Chrome. What is the monitor?
14-inch touchscreen.
Very good. The 14-inch touchscreen. And the component used for connecting to the school's internet hotspot. Component used.
Intel Wi-Fi card.
Very good. The Wi-Fi card. Because remember, hotspots is a wireless network. A hotspot is like what your phone gives off. And we also sometimes call a Wi-Fi connection a hotspot. So the Wi-Fi card. Very good. So we're done with those specifications. B, the major exports of a country for 3 years are given in the worksheet below. Have a look at the worksheet. You have a title here, some headings down the side. You have some years with some information here, some data, total column, percentage, performance. So the first question, state the formatting feature applied to row 2.
Merge and center.
Merge and center, that is correct. Merge and center. State the type of cell referencing used if the formula E dot was inserted in F4.
Absolute cell referencing.
Correct. Absolute. What's the other one? What's the other cell referencing?
Relative.
Relative. That is correct. So you have absolute and you have relative. But the answer to this question is absolute. Now the $ method is one method of absolute addressing. What is the other method? $ is one method. What is the other method? The other method is naming the cell, naming the range, naming the range, naming the cell, giving it a name and using that name. 3. Identify the products that would be in the 5th position in the sorted list if the data in the worksheet was sorted by the total column, total for the 3 years, in descending order.
Sir, wait a minute. Sir, when they say product, that would be bauxite. Wait, no, not bauxite, sorry. Alcoholic products.
Yeah, because if you actually look at it, it's an ascending order, right? It's practically an ascending order. So you don't even need to flip it. You just go upwards. One, two, three, four, five alcoholic products. So that's the fifth position item if it was in descending order. Alcoholic products. Write the function you would use in G8 to insert good if the total exports for the 3 years is more than 300 million, or poor if it's less than 300 million. So you have to create a function.
Excuse me, sir. Can you please like go up a bit so I can see the columns with the letter?
Mhm. Anyone out there?
So just a moment, I'm doing the second part.
Okay. Actually, Yes, whenever you are ready.
Sir, I created a nested if statement.
Mm-hmm.
Should I type it in the chat or speak it?
Either one. Type it. Cause, or you wrote it?
Yeah, I wrote it on in my book.
Oh, well, call it out.
There's the equal sign. If
Mm-hmm.
open bracket E8 is more than 300 million, written out numerically,
Mm-hmm.
comma, in uplifted commas good,
Mm-hmm.
And then there's another comma, and then if in capital letters, open bracket,
E8 is less than 300 million, comma, in then in uplifted commas poor, and then it ends off with two close bracket.
All right. So that is a bit too much, but somewhat correct, but a bit too much. We don't need a whole other um, test. Because remember, a if question basically has true and false, right? So if something is not true, then technically it is false. So that's why the if function has a true part and it has a false part. So the question is, write the function you would use in cell G8 to insert good if the total exports for the 3 years is more than, so good if it is true, or poor if it is less than 300. Because obviously, if it's not more than, it's going to be less than. So that's why you have a true section and a false section. Because it can't be in the middle. There's no way for it to be in the middle. It's either true or false. There is no maybe or anything else. Now, you're going to only use a nested if there's going to be a third option or a fourth option or you want more options. But once you only see in two options, good and poor, then just one simple if is good enough. Unless they tell you to run another test. Otherwise, if it's just um, one test and then a true and a false, all you need is the regular if. If they tell you to test again, then you run a nested if. Clear?
Yes, sir.
All right. Erica, are you following?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, there's one thing that is wrong with it with this here, with this if function that we have here. I want you guys to take a good look at the if function. Look at the table. There's one thing that's wrong with it.
Sir, are you talking about the fact that the entire word for the true and false statements are capitalized?
No, that's that's minor thing.
Oh, sorry, the fact that there are no values available that's more than 300 million?
And why is that? It's
Because
something.
huh?
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, I was about to say that
It's along
the
that line. It's something very simple. It's right here.
So the totals just don't add up to that much.
These values are already in US millions. Understand what's happening? This is 72 million.
Sir,
This
the
is
3 million has to be 300?
right. That's the mistake. This has to be 300, not 3 million. So the table, the data for total is already in millions. That's why they have that there. So that's why you need to read everything when you're looking at the question. You need to examine everything and ensure you're clear in everything. So this function is this here. If it's greater than 300, not actually, which in this case, the 300 is the 3 million because the data is in million. All right. Next question. The following chart was created from the data in the worksheet. State the type of chart shown. I think I can get the easy question.
Pie chart.
Imagine somebody getting this wrong. State the data range used to construct the charts. The data range used to construct the chart. So look at the data. The data range used to construct the chart.
So I can see back the data again. Okay, now can I see the top? Please. So I was going to say B4 to E10. Or am I wrong? Wait.
All right, Erica.
Or would it be B3 to D3 and B11 to D11?
Yes, that is the correct answer. The correct answer is these headings here. Because remember, whenever you're creating a chart must contain headings. So that's our heading. But the data, if you look at the data, it's basically percentages. Remember, a pie chart is comparison out of a whole. So it's comparing three specific values, 1, 2, 3, out of 100%. So the question we should have asked ourselves was what three values we can actually compare. And that is these three values at the bottom here. So the answer is B3 to D3 and B11 to D11. Clear in that, Africa?
Yes, sir.
State the two data label formats which have been applied to the charts.
And percentage.
Percentage. I think so. Can't quite remember it. So let's figure it out. So 2020, 2021, 2022, put in some random numbers. Then we have a sum, adding up everything. Then we bring it for us. Good. So, so if we actually highlight all of that, insert pi, that's what we're gonna get. And if we highlight the heading and that total and do pi, notice a much better chart. So that gives us the answer to our earlier question as to what data we need to select. Now, the question of what two data label formats. So the data label is basically these here, showing the labeling the data basically. So that's when you click on plus, and then you have the data label option, but the question is asking which two. So if you notice, we have a wide variety here. So we have center. So if you notice, the data is in the center. Then we have inside end, outside end, outside end, best fits, data callouts. So it's a combination of center and data callouts. Clear?
Yeah.
All right. Let me close this here for the computer slowing down. Yeah. Good. So we finished with that question there. C. Consider the following algorithm used to compute the monthly income tax to be paid by an individual. The line numbers are for reference only. So have a look at the algorithm. Now the first question, state the variable use that is of data type real.
So, so would that be the same name that you have there, tax?
Yes. The variable tax is the answer. What are the two number data types? The two number data types we have in programming, in algorithm.
So I know there's real and there's integer.
Right. So there's real and then there's integer. And what's the difference between the two? What's the difference between real and integer?
Sir, integer has whole numbers, negative or positive, and real has numbers with fractions or decimals.
Correct. That is correct. Good. So if you notice, if we actually carry out this calculation, you will get a number with a decimal place. So hence, it's the variable with a real data type. Good. Name the type of construct used. This one might be a bit difficult. Anybody know what are constructs in programming?
No, I'm not sure what it is, but I was trying to like figure it out.
All right. Okay, so there are three constructs in programming, and I want you all to take note of them. You actually know what they are because we covered them already, but does that it wasn't mentioned to you specifically what are the three constructs. So the first construct is the sequential construct. Now, when we say construct, we mean how the program is constructed, how the program is made up. So the very first construct is a sequential construct. And as the word sequential mean, one after each other, a sequential construct simply means a program that is going one line after the other. So like how this are line 1, line 2, line 3, line 4, line 5. If we go in this manner, one line after each other, then that is a sequential construct. Now, the next construct is the decision construct. And the statement that is used for making decision is the if then and the if then else statement. So we learned about that already, but it's just for us to know that those statements are the decision constructs. So when you want to make a decision in your program to do something, if a certain situation or a certain criteria is met, that's where we use the decision construct. And then lastly, we have the iteration constructs. When you want to repeat something, so those are the loop statements that we would have covered. So the while loop, the for loop, the repeat loop, all of those are statements used for the iteration constructs. So in programming, we have three constructs: sequential, decision, and iteration. Are you guys clear on that?
Yes, sir.
Now, looking at the question, what is the type of construct used?
That'll be decision.
Correct, the decision. So we don't see any loop. We see a if, and we know the if is a decision construct. Now, most programs are going to be sequential. So it's always going to be a sequential construct, going one line after each other. But we're looking for that decision, that iteration construct mainly. Now state the number line where a relational operator is used. The number line where a relational operator is used.
Line 6.
Line 6. Which operator is the relational operator?
Sorry, looking at the
Which operator? Just tell me the operator is the relational operator. What's what there in line 6?
I'm going to say the less than equal to.
Yes, that is the correct answer. So your less than, your more than, those are your relational operators because you're comparing, you're relating. State the logical operator use. The logical operator. Logic gates, logic operator.
Sir, would it be and?
Correct. So whenever you hear logic, logic operator, think of logic gates. If you know what's logic gates, that is the and, or, and not. In programming, those are the three common ones that you will come across. So the logic operator is the and operator. Good. Complete the following table by inserting the tax to be paid by John and Mary. So 175 and 400,000. So 175K and 400,000. Tell me what's the tax? Y'all know what y'all gotta do?
Yes, sir. I'm calculating it. I need my calculator. Just a moment, sir.
Sir, the first one is 20,000.
Mm-hmm.
Sir, the next one is 120,000.
That's correct. You got your answers, Africa?
Yes, sir.
So let's go through it. So the first person has 175,000. So right monthly pay 75,000 or less, no tax. So we reach the if the person enters the month pay, it reads it. Now if month pay is greater than 75 and less than 200, that's within that range. So we carry out the true parts. We minus 75,000, so we get 100,000, and 20% of that is going to be 20,000. Now the next person has 400,000. It's not within this range, so that means it's false. We go on to the else. So we gotta calculate 25% of 400, which is 100. 300 minus, 400 minus 100, that's 300, and 40% of that can give us 120. Did you guys draw the flow chart?
You know, yet, sir. No idea now.
All right. All right, we can come back to that. Yeah, I can draw it and send me it. Let me move on to the next question. So question number 4, study the following pseudocode written for an algorithm. The line numbers are for reference only. So have a look at the pseudocode, familiarize yourself with it. So the first question, state exactly what the algorithm does. State exactly what the algorithm does.
Sir, it reads the temperature that you input and helps with converting it either from Fahrenheit to Celsius or Celsius to Fahrenheit.
Correct. That's it. Clear on that one, Erica?
Yes, sir.
That's a lot of space. So, seeing all that space, I guess you can try to be more detailed as to what exactly it is doing. As it says, state exactly, so we got to go into detail. So in this case, because there's so much space, there's 4 marks, and it says state exactly, I would recommend that you go line by line explaining. So for instance, let's go line by line. What is happening in these first 3 lines?
Variable initialization.
Correct. The variables are being initialized with 0. What's happening at line 5 to 6, 5 to 7?
Well, you're outputting a statement
Mm-hmm.
and then you're telling, and then the user has to input their temperature.
Good. You output a statement so that the program will know whether the person is going from Fahrenheit to Celsius, they put 1. If they're doing Celsius to Fahrenheit, they put 2. And then you put in the temperature afterwards. And then it's going to do a if function to figure out whether Fahrenheit or Celsius was selected and do the appropriate conversion. Complete the input processing output chart below for the pseudocode from A on page 16. So the IPO charts, what is the IPO chart for this? That's page 16. Yeah. What is the IPO chart for this table here? So when we got first started, inputs, processing, output. So what is our input?
Temperature, Celsius, and Fahrenheit.
What do you mean?
The, like you're inputting the variables that you use throughout the program.
I don't think that's the correct answer. All right, which line? Let me inputs. Which line is your input?
So where it says to read temperature.
Good. So line number 6, where it says to read temps. That's your inputs. Do we have any other inputs?
So it also has read for Fahrenheit and Celsius.
Good. So line 11 and line 16. So we have read Fahrenheit, read Celsius. Good. So we have 3 input in total. What is our process?
So the part with if or else the calculation.
Tell me the line number.
Line 12 and line 17.
Good. So line 12, line 17 is going to be process. Anything else? So input. Yeah, go ahead. Process. Remember, each line got to be one of those columns. Do we have any other process? Remember, process is a calculation. Isn't line 8 a comparison calculation?
Oh, yes, sir.
That's a process. And the final column, output. What is our output? What line numbers?
Line 5 is one of them. There is line 10, 13, 15, and 18.
Good, I'm 7.
Oh, yeah, 7.
Good. So as I said, each line, well, other than these keywords like then, else, and if, stop, they won't have anything to do with the IPO chart. But each action should be part of that IPO chart. This is just initializing. So this won't be, this could actually be part of the process, but that is not mandatory to put that in the IPO charts. Good. The pseudocode for the algorithm on page 16 is to be amended to use a for loop construct, enabling the algorithm to do exactly 10 calculations before it terminates. Using a new variable number as the loop counter, write the 2 pseudocode statements needed to achieve this. So you just got to tell me the statements. What are the two pseudocode statements to implement this for loop construct? And if you notice, you can also call the iteration construct the loop construct. How are you going to build this for loop statement? Any idea? How do you write a loop for loop statement? Let's have a go.
So, so they're saying just two lines. Then you need a line to count the like number of times, then the other one to actually execute the loop.
Mm-hmm. So what are they?
I'm working it out, sir.
Anything, Erica?
Or could it be for number equal open bracket 1 to 10 close bracket 2?
I don't. It doesn't. I don't think it has an equal, but I think it's 1 to 10. Do does it? For a loop.
There also end for?
Yes. I think this gotta be in brackets. I think. Yeah, I think that has to be in brackets. Why can't they just give me an example? That's all I want. An example. For yeah. Right. So and then you have N4. Good. So remember the for loop is what kind of loop? Remember there are two types of loops. What are they? What are the two types of loops? Oh yeah, it does have an equal sign.
So,
Does the equal sign? Yes, you were saying. I think it doesn't have a
sorry,
bracket.
normally when I was pondering because normally when I hear types of loop, I think you're talking about if it's a for loop or a while loop.
Not that's like a different type. Those like examples. But loops can be categorized into two types. You have the indefinite loops and
Oh,
the definite loops. So the two indefinite loops are your while and repeats. When you don't know how long the program should run for, and your definite loop is when you do know, and that is your for loop. So your for loop is the only one that doesn't require an update. So it doesn't require a construct like this here. Number equal number plus one. That is only for while and repeats because you need to tell it to update. The for loop, this here is the built-in updater basically. So it, say a number equal one, that's basically you initializing it to one. And then you're telling it to increment to 10. So it's a self-updater, basically. So these are two statements here. For number equal 1 to 10 do, and then we have n4. Good. State one reason why the for loop is the most appropriate loop construct to use in this scenario. I actually just gave you a hint.
the loop doesn't have to be updated.
No.
It's a definite loop.
Mm, yeah,
I
but
was trying to
that
put into this.
what is the most appropriate? What's the reason why is the most appropriate? What's the reason? All right. So basically, I think you guys have the idea. So it's a definite loop, but the reason why, to put it into words, the reason why it's the most appropriate is because it allows us to basically set how many times we want the program to run for. That's why the for loop is the most appropriate. It allows you to set the program or to determine basically how much times the program should run for. If it's 10 times, it's 20 times, 30, it allows you to set the program to run a specific amount of time, an exact amount of time, all the time. So that's the most appropriate reason why. Any questions?
No, sir.
All right. D, using the variable number as the loop counter, write the four pseudocode statements for a repeat until loop construct to enable the algorithm to do exactly 10 calculations before it terminates. So we gotta create a repeat until loop.
Excuse me, sir. Let's say that, oh, I write it, there's an indentation for a piece that comes underneath a variable, right? Does it count as the same line because it's something that's attached to the like prompt?
Basically, yeah, that's the purpose of indentation, to show something belongs to something. How do we construct the repeat loop?
So I have to get the repeat prompt,
Yep.
and then you
So
and
what to write first?
sorry, I was thinking, do you have to like say you have to initialize a number, right? You have to add that in, saying that what the number is equal to.
I think it won't hurt to do that. It won't hurt to do that. Good idea. So tell me what to write.
To say number equal one.
Number equal one. Good. Mm-hmm. Next.
Below repeat,
Good. Next.
and the next part with the indentation.
Uh huh.
Next line indent. So number equal number plus one,
Good. Mm-hmm.
and then you could go to the until
Uh huh.
in bracket number equal 10 because they want exactly 10 calculations. So number equal 10.
Good. Yeah, that's it. So um, no, you gotta be careful with how you initialize it. This is actually gonna run for 9 times. Because remember, this is starting off at 1. And when it reach here, it can turn 2. So when it reach here, this is 2. So it can be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's going to run for 9 times. So this has to be initialized at 0. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Good. So those are our 4 statements there. Now, E, Jane wants to establish a wired network with desktop computers spread across all floors of the office building. List 4 hardware devices that Jane will need to accomplish this task.
A router, modem,
A router is not going to be needed because it's a wired network. A router is more specifically for a wireless network. I remember a network is not only connected to the internet. A network is simply connecting one computer to the other. That's a network. But the internet is a much larger network. So, what hardware devices do we need for this wired network? Y'all never heard of a switch? Y'all know what is a switch?
Like a simple switch with, are you talking about an IT device?
It's an IT device.
Oh, see, I've never heard of a switch.
All right, so let's Google network switch. So a network switch connects devices within a network, often a local area network, and forwards data packets to and from the devices. So a switch is basically a device with a lot of Ethernet ports. As you can see in these examples here, it could be 4, could be 8, could be a lot. So that's one device you're going to need, because remember it's a wired network, so everybody's going to be connecting to the switch so that they can have a connection to the network. Now, you will also need a router, because a router is not only for wireless, it's also for the connecting to the internet in case they need that form of network connection. So that's one device there. Any other device?
Sir, could you count in the cables as a device?
I don't think so. We have the NIC. I remember that. Anybody?
Not quite.
So NIC is network interface card. That is the device that allows you to connect to the network. Remember when we were looking at the question with the specifications of the computer? So you have Ethernet ports and Wi-Fi card. Those are two NICs. Those are two examples of network interface cards. A network interface card is basically a hardware device that allows you to connect to a network. So like an Ethernet port, a Wi-Fi card, um, network interface card. So this is what an expansion one would look like if you actually plug it into the computer yourself, adding an extra card. But it basically gives you that Ethernet port, and there's also the Wi-Fi one, which basically has an antenna on it to allow you to connect to the wireless network. So a NIC simply allows you to connect to the network. Now we need a fourth device: router, switch, network interface card. Jane wants to establish a wired network with desktop computers spread across all floors of the office building. List 4 hardware devices that Jane will need to accomplish this task. Um, what other hardware device could she possibly need? I don't want to say the cable, but she does need cable. But a cable is not a hardware device. Mm, but she will need Ethernet cables. Um, not sure what else to put for that one. Definitely the switch router. Give me a second, let me see something. Yeah, Ethernet cable is not a hardware device. Now you're gonna, in this case here, we're gonna add patch panel because we're adding a lot of computers across all floors of the building. So you're gonna need what is called a patch panel. Now, what is a patch panel? All right, let me go back here. So a patch panel is a piece of networking hardware that contains multiple ports to connect and route different Ethernet cables. So basically, let me see if I can find a simplified layout to show you all. And switch layout, good, exactly. Good. So this one here, good. So make the image larger. All right, so basically you have all the computers. So at the bottom here we have all the computers. Then from the computer we're gonna run a cable to the patch panel. So this is this wall socket here is basically a cable running from this wall socket to the patch panel, and you basically plug your cable from this wall socket into your computer. So just imagine it like one long cable running straight to the patch panel. The purpose of a patch panel is basically to organize all the cabling. Because it's so many computers, there's going to be a lot of cable. So the patch panel is to allow you to organize the cabling basically. So from the computer, the cable connects to the patch panel, then another cable connects from the patch panel to the switch, and then the switch connects to the router. So those are your 4 hardware devices. Any questions?
No, sir.
Erica?
No, sir.
Distinguish between the terms internet and World Wide Web.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
Have you seen a real life setting with all that setup? Because to me, I just imagine a lot of wires. I'm wondering, like, how does it not interrupt the workspace?
Well, that's why there's actually a whole room where all of these devices are set up. So notice how untidy it can get. So some persons just try to organize the cabling, but notice how much wires is actually be run into these places, and how it can actually get a bit messy. Yeah, and there's practically a whole room dedicated to organize these cables. Yes, so I think this is our last question. Hopefully, no, not the last question. Let's just try to finish. Oh, we just got a few more questions. I just want to. Let's try to finish it off. So distinguish between the terms internet and World Wide Web. What's the difference between the two?
Sir, internet is an interconnected network where you can gain access to the outside world, and World Wide Web is a search engine.
Mm-hmm.
Next point.
So can we?
From the internet, you gain Wi-Fi connection, and then the World Wide Web is it's basically a search engine, and you won't necessarily get internet connection from that, but you get to look up for information, and you can find it on applications
Mm-hmm.
like Chrome, Opera,
All right.
Edge, MS Edge.
Mm-hmm. Good. So the World Wide Web, simply web, is a term for the collection of web pages that you view when you are online on a computer or device. So the World Wide Web is simply the content that you are accessing online. On the other hand, the internet is the network because internet is actually an abbreviated word, it's a coined word. I think it stands for interconnected network. Meaning of internet. Interconnected network. Interconnected network, yeah. Yeah, interconnected network. So the underlying structure, the internet is the network of interconnected computers on which the web runs and the conduct through which emails and data pass. So the internet is basically the network structure. Um, so if you were to Google layout, what has happened? The internet computer is so lame. Wow, that is nothing what I wanted. Internet map. This is what I wanted. So the internet is basically cables running all over the world. And this is a map of it. Cables running from one country to the next. That's the internet. This network infrastructure where cables are connecting from one computer to another computer in the world, basically, from one network to the other. That's the internet. And the World Wide Web is all of the services that you basically get from this internet. Your web pages, your email, data transfer, and so on. Any questions?
So, did you hear of um Web3, like World Wide Web 3, or is there's some other one? Like, there's numbers to it.
You're talking about something Web 2.0 and Web 3.0?
Yeah, like, what's the latest one?
I think 3.0 is the latest. Let me see if there's Web 4.0. It's basically versions, it's like categorizing how the internet has been. So basically, Web 1.0 is a static internet. So it's read only pages. You only go on the internet and you read. You weren't allowed to add anything. Now, Web 2.0 came around whereby you were now allowed to add your contents. So that's where social networks came about. Like Facebook, you can upload your pictures. So there was a point in time where you could not have uploaded to websites. You couldn't comment on anything, like on anything. There was no interaction. That is Web 1.0. 2.0 is when we got that interaction. And 3.0 is when the website started interacting back with us. So when we do something on the website and it gives us feedback and it gives us recommendations, suggestions, it changes up to match what we're doing basically. Like when you go open Amazon and you search for certain things, the next time you go back, it shows you things that you might like. And then Web 4.0 connects the Internet of Things and advanced virtual reality. So we're advancing in technology. We can use virtual reality to access the internet. Internet of Things is basically all devices are connected to the internet and are interconnected, like your smartwatch connected to the internet, connected to the network. Your bulb in your home is connected to the network and you can turn it on and off through an app. Your door is connected to the network and you can open it and close it through an app. So your car is connected to the network and you can monitor it. So all of that is the Internet of Things, Web 4.0. Any other questions? All right.
No, sir.
That's a lot of tabs. Good. State the acronym URL represents.
Uniform Resource Locator.
Very good. And our final question, consider the URL dot. Complete the table below by giving a description of the three parts to the URL. What is HTTPS? What is HTTPS?
Sir, explaining it is a problem.
So HTTPS stands for Hypertext Transport Protocol.
Oh, wait, is that you had to put? I thought you had to like explain.
Well,
Explain.
if you would have answered that, it could have helped you, but that's not the answer. But I was also trying to see if you know that also. Anyways, so HTTPS stands for Hypertext Transport Protocol Secure, and the description or the purpose of it is to transfer web pages. HTTP is used for transferring of web pages. So that's how your web page, when you're browsing on the internet, HTTP is used to transfer the web page from the web server to your browser. What is cxc.org?
A domain?
Right. The domain of the URL. Basically the domain. Students' results.
Sorry, file path.
Right, the file paths. So a certain part of the website. Or you can also call it a subdirectory. Good. That brings us to the end of the 2024 January paper 2. Any questions before we wrap up?
No, sir.
All right. If no questions, that is it for today's class. All the best for your paper 2 exam next week, Friday.
This is the last class before the exam.
Um, I'm gonna try to do a recap of everything the night before or the other night before 132.